Hello, everybody. Mariner here. Eid Mubarak and Selamat Hari Raya to everybody celebrating tonight. And welcome to Net That Haul and 3 people who are possibly celebrating scoring more than 20 points in a game week. I certainly am. We have Surya with us. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, man. Hey, guys. Glad to be back. And yeah, it's been quite a few weeks. And it's nice to be back with you both. Yeah, looking forward to the show.
And normally when you're on, it's chaos. And hello, Gabe. How are you, my friend?
Good morning to you all. Nice to see your faces. Surya, good to see you up. Mariner, it's good to see you up.
Well,
given the day you just had.
Shall I tell the story I just said to everybody else?
I think you should give everybody a little context.
Yeah, well, basically, it's a public holiday here. So, of course, I decided to take the opportunity to go out for a nice glass of wine with my good lady wife. And yes, I passed out on the settee to be woken with pretty much a firm kick to say, "You've got 10 minutes before the show."
Well, for the benefit of the viewers and listeners here, but what you mean by glass, you just mean the material out of which the bottle is made? Because it wasn't a glass that you had, was it? It was just a bottle.
No, it was quite a bit more than that. I'm back on the beer now anyway, so cheers, everybody. No, it was more than a glass, but anyway, let's not worry about that. That's sort of like, how can I put this? That's minutiae in the overall big picture, Gabe, right?
that's right.
Anyway, let me just do the usual. Let me get the usual crap out of the way, and then let's get on with this show for the usual crap.
Yeah.
So anyway, as always, we are Net That Haul, and as always, if you like what you see, give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit that bell on YouTube, and you will find us anywhere where you put that podcast in your ears these days, thanks to Nima. And we should wish Nima a happy birthday, because indeed it is his birthday today. So happy birthday, old boy. You are now an old git. Oh, well, you are an older git than you were before. I'm not quite sure how old he is.
I know how old he is. Let's just say he's No, I better not say that.
Oh, come on, just spill the beans.
No. I was gonna say he's approaching mid-30s, but really he's only 31. So.
young bastard.
I know. May we all be so lucky that we get old, my friend.
That's right. Well, let's hope well, I'm certainly there. I'm old, but anyway, you're nearly old. Not nearly old, Gabe. Right, come on then, boys. Shall we have a look at see what's going on today? So here we go. Look at the title. Look at the troll. Where's that beach, Gabe?
I know where the beach is. I don't know where anyone sailing the seas are, but I know where the beach is. Just follow me.
There's the beach, and look who's in the net. It's all about FPL.com. Just to give Surya his gang a shout out. So, right, let's crack on. So the first thing, as always, what we're going to do is we're going to do the fixtures and the fixture difficulty. And as if you saw on the Compass show, which was actually, I think, only yesterday, it feels like. It seems like all I do is YouTube shows these days. What we did is we actually started to put some little baseball caps onto the fixture difficulty, which shows teams that we thought are probably on the beach. A bit like Gabe, really. So let's quickly look through at this. And first of all, let's look at the order for attack and defense. And this is very interesting. And one team leapt off the page at me the other day when I talked about attack. And it was, if we talk about the order from top to bottom, top 5, Liverpool, then Newcastle. Now, obviously, Callum Wilson clearly is injured again. He's out for 2 or 3 weeks, according to Steve Bruce. So that 1.7 could be 4.7 again. I'm not quite sure. But then we've got Newcastle, Leicester, and West Brom. Crazy. And Manchester United. I think the fixture difficulty is drank I think this FD has drank as much as me.
Second, that's crazy. Newcastle up to second.
I checked it. It's not pissed, honest. And at the bottom, Sheffield United, Fulham, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Brighton, and Arsenal. Obviously, for the benefit of the YouTubers, please, for the podcasters, please come to YouTube and check it out. Pause it, have a look at it, and then you'll see. And you'll see the teams that we've put on the beach. We put Newcastle, Leicester, West Brom, Southampton, Burnley, Leeds, Aston Villa, Brighton, Crystal Palace, Wolves, Fulham, and Binary Brewsters, Sheffield United. From the perspective of defence, Manchester City, Chelsea, Man United, Brighton, Arsenal at the top. Brighton are the real deal, quite frankly, if Dunk doesn't get himself sent off, moron. And at the bottom, at the other side of it, Southampton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Spurs, and Sheffield United at the bottom, followed by West Brom. So I think we're nearly getting to a stage where I think next week, I don't think we need to do this fixture difficulty, quite frankly, boys. I think we're in the realms of have teams got something to play for? Have they not? Have players got something to play for? Have they not? And you may as well just start flicking coins for some of these results. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. I think these teams are what they are, right, for this season. I mean, I don't know, except for Newcastle. I don't think I don't see them staying there. Well, one thing that really jumps out at me is Spurs. They've been kind of on the either mid or lower half of both sides for several weeks now. Yet somehow they kind of tick along. Their assets. There's always one asset, at least one asset on Spurs that gets you something, which I find really interesting because they have been so low on the metric for such a long time.
Yeah, fair enough. And sorry, one team which stands out to me from an attacking perspective have now jumped up to 8th. That's Burnley. What do you reckon?
I was actually interested in Southampton and of course Burnley too. Burnley are a form team. I think when they score, they score. When they concede goals, they concede a lot. So, but then Wood has even scored 50 goals for Burnley. I think the last goal that he scored was his 50th for Burnley. He's in a good form, and Burnley will look to finish the season on a high now that they are in the Premier League once again for next year. So that is that third striker spot that's opening up. There's a lot of options. There's of course Bamford, Antonio, DCL in the mix, but then someone like Ings, someone like Che Adams. Che Adams was actually decent against Crystal Palace last week, 2 days back, and then you got Wood as well. Wood is still only 4%, so you never know. If you have a gamble, I think one of them would be a good option.
Yeah.
Careful saying good things about Che Adams in front of Mariner.
Don't talk to me about him. And the whipping boys are all playing Liverpool.
Yeah.
In the coming weeks. Oh dear. Anyway, we'll go on to more stuff in a bit. So what we're going to do, look, let's keep going. We can obviously just keep chatting through this fixture difficulty as we head on. So first of all, what we'll do now, obviously, very quickly, we're going to look through the predictions which Nima and I came up with yesterday. And I think the key things here, just to try and move this through quite quickly, because I want to get to the nitty gritty, which is the matchups for this week. If I just move this stupid bloody cat out of the way, who's in the way as usual. Let's look at it from a perspective of outliers here. Newcastle against Manchester City. One big outlier here is Newcastle's defence. So Manchester, Newcastle's attack's fine. Newcastle's Man City attack is average now, 3.2, not too great. Manchester City's defence is fine if you can get the right one. But look at Newcastle. Newcastle's defence is terrible. So, Nima and I have both predicted quite a comfortable win for Manchester City. I think the question is, do they keep a clean sheet? What do you think?
I think Wilson scoring. So probably a clean sheet for City and a comfortable 3 or 4-0 win is what I would predict as well. Yeah.
I would say Willock to you.
Willock, so he's been scoring, but then it's City again. I don't fancy him scoring, to be honest.
Do you think that City are going to play a strong team this week? Okay.
I don't see Pep fancying 2 losses or even 2 matches without a win. So I think strongest might be a bit extreme stretch, but then they'll pull out at least a fair enough decent squad to comfortably get over. I don't see Aguero starting. That's another thing. I don't see Pep letting him get a start, even though he's in his last few games for Man City. But then they are the likes of Mahrez, Sterling, or Foden. Two of them should start. So it should be a comfortable win. Yeah.
We'll come on to Manchester City in a bit because I think that they might be playing quite a key part in Gabe's free hit. So we'll come on to that.
But just to address it really quickly, just bring in some kind of stats from the season on this and what Pep is trying to do kind of in preparation for the Champions League final. So if we remember back to the beginning of the season, in the first 8 matches, Manchester City conceded 11 goals, and then in the following 27 matches they conceded 15. And right now, with Pep's rotations, especially at center back, they've been slipping. So the defense isn't as good as it has been, even though it still is the best. But what was really kind of their big transformation was their structure without the ball. And so they were, they started in a 3-1-6 when they were in possession, 3 at the back, and then they just had the one defensive midfielder sitting. And since what they did is they moved Cancelo from the right back, and remember we talked about that. This was a couple months ago. Cancelo moving into the midfield, right, and kind of getting central. And Cancelo served as the second defensive mid. And once they did that, then their kind of defense improved. And so in this match, I expect Pep to go kind of the return to the strong center back pairing in Diaz and Stones. And then play the attacking, the front 3 or the front 4 that he will play in the Champions League final. So I expect, I agree with Surya, I expect a false 9. I don't expect Agüero or Jesus to play. I think they'll play in a false 9 system against Chelsea in that final. So I think they're going to do that here. I think he wants to get the back right and get the front right, and then the middle will sort itself out.
Interesting. Let's see how we go. I mean, look, I don't mind if they don't play Aguero this week, but I quite hope they want to next week between me and you. That's another story. We might come on to that later. Burnley against Leeds. Burnley and Leeds attack 3 and 3.3, fairly average. Leeds and Burnley defence closer to 4, average or below. Do you know what? Both Nima and I see loads of goals in this game. I'm not quite sure what time of day it's on across here, but I want to watch it. What do you reckon?
Burnley Leeds. Wow. Yeah, I don't disagree, and it's one of the reasons I'm less excited about Dallas on a free hit, for example. Is that I do see goals in this match. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, Dallas is, at the end of the day, Dallas is playing as a midfielder, right? So, I mean, he could well be actually getting attacking returns here. And I always said for all the way through the season, until recently at home, I wouldn't have considered Dallas for anything other than attacking returns. So you look at it like that. I think I tend to agree with you, Gabe. I would just say that, if anyone wants to get on Dallas, you'd get on fast because I'm bringing him in this week. But quite frankly, we've only got a couple more weeks before he disappears into midfield in FPL. So I suggest I think it's a relative no-brainer to bring him in for the run-in. That's my perspective.
Yeah, for the run-in, yes, I agree.
Yeah. Next one, Southampton, Fulham, beached and beached. The thing is, which beach? Are they on Marbella? Are they on Benidorm? I think Southampton are the standout attack here. 2.9 against Fulham, 5. And Fulham and Southampton, well, Southampton's defence is terrible, 5.7 futsal, Fulham 4.5. I mean, when we predicted this was 2.21 and 3 and 2-0 to Southampton. But you know what? Danny Ings and Shea Adams, the dynamic duo game.
The one thing about the beach is past performances does not equal future. Like, you can't expect what will happen and what happened in the past to happen again.
Is that like an equation? Past does not equal past.
Yeah, past does not equal future.
It does not equal future.
So there's this. So I studied philosophy in university, right? And they said just because when like say one ball hits another ball and the other ball goes, and it happens every single time. Right. That doesn't just because it happens every single time, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily the cause. But my point. my point here is
that was shit before. Now let's bring Shay Adams in. Next conversation. See you never.
Exactly. Poor off. My point here is that Southampton, their attacking numbers are good, dynamic duo as you said. But would anybody be surprised if they showed up with a margarita in their hands and just this is a 1-0 or a 0-0? That would not surprise me in the least.
Yeah, I just think there's goals. I think there's more than 2 goals for Southampton. There's funny feeling. I mean, I don't think Ings can force his way into the Euros, quite frankly, with the fact he's got one leg. But he might think he might be able to. So he better not watch net that hole. Brighton against West Ham then. Well, this is another one really. There's a one stand out. It's Brighton's defence, but there's no Lewis Dunk. Silly boy, cost a lot of people a load of points this week. Would have been troll of the week if we'd have done it, for sure. But yeah, I mean Brighton and West Ham, no great shakes attack wise. West Ham even coming off a bit on attack now, and West Ham certainly not in the place they were defensively. When we talk about defensive assets to bring in, Kufal's been mentioned. Bring him in for attacking returns only, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's right. You bring him in only expecting attacking returns. I don't see them keeping a clean sheet. It's been awful for a lot of time. And attack too, the numbers show they're not that great. It's just 10. So you might not be willing to double up on say Antonio and Lingard as well. So if you have Lingard, I would say invest elsewhere, and if you don't have Lingard, then the option of bringing in Antonio. Yeah.
Is Lingard coming to the end of his or the end of his shelf life, Gabe? What's your view?
Lingard's sell-by date is the 13th of May, I think. he's expired.
He's expired.
I want to. There's this morning when I woke up, I woke up to a tweet by Libero FPL. And it's unpopular opinion tweet, and he's talking about Antonio against a back three. Antonio against the back three. Apparently, he gets isolated in a back three. Against Everton, he didn't have a shot on target. Last time against Brighton, he didn't do anything against Brighton either. So I'm just going over the tweet here. So I think the formation, Brighton's formation, could kind of potentially limit Antonio, but this is an opportunity. Somebody mentioned that that Dunk, when Dunk was out, Brighton have played 2 games at home this season without Dunk. They played Burnley to a 0-0 and West Brom to a 1-1. So still low scoring games without Dunk. They got a clean sheet without Dunk. So I don't know how much the Dunk factor will affect Antonio since he's facing a back three.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I saw that as well, and it hasn't affected them, even though you might think it does. Another factor is because Mopai got sent off for gobbing off at the end of the game as well. But that means who's going to come in instead of Mopai? Of course, Welbeck's going to play, but is Connolly fit again? Because maybe if he is, he's got a point to prove, hasn't he? I'm not quite sure. So. But Brighton are no great shakes going forwards, I'm afraid. So, I mean, we've looked at. I mean, I've suggested 2-0, and even though I've just said that don't buy Kufal, and Nima's gone for 2-1. It's one of those funny games, really. I'm not quite sure which that could go either way. I think. Yeah. Next one: Crystal Palace against Aston Villa. Crystal Palace are maybe having a final hurrah. They've improved to 4.2 attack.
I got 2 goals. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Neiman must have been absolutely pissed out of his face when he did his wild card because he brought 3 in. And he's on, isn't he? I think he is. Yes, he is. He's on. Happy birthday, Nima. And Aston Villa 3.3 without Grealish and possibly with Grealish now. That'll be interesting to see whether that makes a bit of a difference. And defensively wise, Aston Villa 4.4, Crystal Palace 5.4. Do you know what? I've got this funny feeling Aston Villa are completely beached. I think Crystal Palace might beat them.
That's interesting.
It's tough to predict. Both of the teams at the beach, so you never know what happens.
That's fair. When two teams are at the beach,
it doesn't really matter because I don't think there's many assets there. All I would say is anyone who owns Martinez, don't expect a clean sheet between now and the end of the season. You watch him get one this week. That's actually, I own Martinez, right? And I'm hoping he gets a clean sheet. So what I've done there is can you see what I'm trying to do?
So it's interesting. Both you and me went for a Palace win.
Yeah.
Both of you
can see what I'm trying to do.
I just hope Mariner has put 2 goals for Benteke because I have Benteke.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, you just touching on this. How many points are you on this week so far? Sorry,
just the 110 points.
Just 110.
Yeah, just the 110.
I fucking hate you.
So please don't stop inviting me for the next shows.
Wait, here's Mariner. You're gonna hate him more. That's 90 points more than you scored last week.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. I can add up.
But I think it has to be said. That has to be said. Sorry, you have to get to triple digits more than Mariner scored last week. Let's go.
Hey, I've got more. One of my players scored more than my entire team last week. Let's keep going. God help me.
Yeah.
Right. Spurs against Wolves. Everyone, this is like free hit City according to every pod I've listened to all week. And Spurs 3.3 attack, Wolves 4.5 attack. Wolves 3.1 defense against Spurs 5.1. And remember, just for the new people, I see we've got a Grimsby Town fan on here. A new Grimsby Town fan. Let me explain what the fixture difficulty is very quickly. 0 to 7, 0 best, 7 worst. Green good, red bad, easy. This is borderline bad, right? Particularly Spurs defense. If anyone thought of bringing a Spurs defender in this week for the free hit game, then maybe you were drinking.
you know how I feel about Spurs assets. According to Baker, I just hate all Spurs. You might be right, but here's a question for you, Mariner. I don't see your 3-0 prediction here matching up with the FDR.
Mate, I was blind drunk when I did it before I got the fixture difficulties out as well, and because we had no time. So I actually went off last week's fixture difficulties, not this week. But do you know what? I don't know. Wolves to me, quite frankly, would not have scored had it not been for Dunk getting sent off.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I've gone for nil. That's why I've gone for a nil.
Because Brighton are a decent defense and Spurs are not.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, they're on the bit. I just think it's a Gareth Bale show. If you've got Gareth Bale, hold him. He could do really well this week. Where's my golf club? It's over there somewhere. But no, to be honest, Gareth. To me, it's a Gareth Bale show. I mean, obviously, Kane. I don't quite know where we're going with Kane now. I don't own him, thankfully. Toenail offside, other VAR bullshit. Delighted he was offside, quite frankly, because I don't own him. But no, for an owner for a Harry Kane owner, it would smart, right? Properly smart.
I think we're getting maybe it's because I'm on the beach, but I'm getting used to these kind of like toenail offside, armpit hair offside, whatever, man. We're gonna lament it every single time.
It's still horse shit. I'm sorry, they need to change it. Next one. So I have 3-0 win for me, 2-1 win for Nima. Next one, West Brom against Liverpool. West Brom's attack 2.6. Pretty good, right? At the moment, their numbers are really good in attack. Liverpool attack is 0. It can't get any better. They're about to break the metric. Liverpool for a defense 4.1, which is pretty rubbish against West Brom 4.8, which is even worse. I stuck my neck out on the Compass show when I was drinking coffee on the Compass show rather than beer tonight, and I said that West Brom might score first. It could be Pereira, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Pereira doesn't score. I've got that funny feeling that West Brom will score. I just think Liverpool will then go bonkers, and I think it'll be 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. That's my honest feeling. I just have this feeling that Liverpool are going to go crazy soon. It's one of these next weeks, and they're going to go mad. And I've stuck my neck out, and I'll keep my neck stuck out that Liverpool score 5 in 2 of the next 3 games. That I am so bullish on them at the moment. What's your views, guys?
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think it's something of a game like Crystal Palace. They scored 6 against Palace. So I do feel, and Salah's chasing the Golden Boot. I think he'd be targeting this fixture, but a lot depends on how it goes against United tonight. So if the game is lost and if Salah is in early, I think they'll be resting him. I think he'll be going all out to get that Golden Boot, and there isn't a better fixture than this. I think Liverpool drew with or lost to West Brom earlier in the season, so that's another added revenge factor for them to go all out against West Brom. But I agree with you, Chris. I think they are going to go bonkers at least one game, or if not 2 games. Yeah.
I just think it's going to happen. And Gabe, there was a very interesting thing. It's not very often I spot these things, but when we spoke earlier, you said it was a good call. That hug of Klopp and Mane, I think it meant a lot, don't you?
Yeah, you mentioned this on the Compass show when we were talking about it. So these are like and it's a good call because it's like you saw something like it's the coaching, right? When a player comes off and a player's been struggling and he's starting to find some form and he comes off and he gets a big hug from the coach and they're all smiles. That's something to build on, especially after a tough season for that player. So I think I just really like that reaction from Klopp towards Mane, really encouraging him and building him up, and that's why I don't think he's a rotation risk. I don't think Jota will start over him. Jota may start. They may start in the front 4 with Jota and Firmino dropping in to receive. I think that's when they're at their best. So I hope they do start with all 4 of them. But yeah, I like that big hug was super encouraging for Mane owners, and we'll touch more on that a little bit later. And then really quickly on West Brom's attack, West Brom the last 6 they've created 23 chances from the left side, which is where Mateus Pereira plays, and they've created 23 chances from the right side and the center of the field combined. So they are very much. I think they're going to try to get in behind Trent Alexander-Arnold. And that's one of the reasons why I like the left side of the Liverpool attack more than the right side. But I'll get some more detail about that later as well.
Yeah, but I think what it does do is I think it debunks the Trent Alexander-Arnold captain as of this week.
Agreed, very much so.
It's an attacking player, isn't it? For sure. Okay, and the last game, Everton against Sheffield United. Well. Not a lot to say here, really. Everton possibly with Rodriguez back. 3.2 attack against Sheffield United, 5.6. Sheffield United 5.6 attack. So Binary Brewster still not looking like he's going to break his duck. And Everton defence 4 against 4.8. Sheffield United have improved a bit, quite frankly, but probably because people aren't really trying that hard these days. Maybe I'm not quite sure. I mean, Calvert-Lewin is quite frankly, a bit of a shoe-in, right? Isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a must, right? I mean, target Sheffield United. There's not much explanation needed for that. It's interesting that Nima predicted a goal for Sheffield United here.
Well, again, I don't know whether he'd been drinking, but I mean, look, they might. I've been saying I predicted the score last week and then given up again this week. But we only ever predict the score 1. That's it. We never predict the score more than 1 goal. I mean, look, it's one of those games where, quite frankly, it's free hit. It's free hit gold. This game, to me. And I know we'll come on to that a little bit later. So, okay, those are the fixtures. So we'll see whether we're right or not. When it comes to predictions, I think I'm 4-2 up on Nima now. The problem is that I can get out of Singapore and I can get in without quarantining into London, Nima. You'll be pleased to know. But I might not be able to get back, so I think you might be safe for these beers unless you courier them to me. So I think I might be stuck here for a bit longer than I thought. But anyway, at the moment, 4-2 to the Mariner. And as of, I didn't look, as of the other night, we were 7-all this week. So I don't know if Nima's going to tell me in the chat whether he's in front. He probably will. Fixture difficulty. Well, we're at the business end, right? 3 weeks to go. That's it. Not a lot to say, really, apart from Liverpool could well hammer teams, but will not. I'm going to put my neck on the line. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet until 38. Then I think they might. As I've said earlier, no Trent caps for me. No, and I own him. Manchester United defence without Maguire. I've got a question here, Surya. Their defence, the defensive numbers look good, right? Plus 2.8. Is that going to have an impact on that, do you think? Are we? Is definitely. That overstating?
Definitely, because Eric Bailly is a disaster waiting to happen. So that's just him and Lindelof doesn't go well. It never goes well at all because Maguire brings that confidence, that calmness in the defense, and without Maguire, that is a problem that one might fuck up. And so this number means nothing without Maguire in the 11. So I would be cautious, but then just like how we treat Dallas, it's Luke Shaw's. It's more of attacking points or off late rather than defensive points. So if you do have Shaw hold out, pray for an attacking return, I think he's again taking very good positions in the edge of the box and he's going as forward as he can. But if you had someone like Van Bissaka or someone like during the triple game week, I think it's a sell definitely. Yeah, but I think it's going to be a very big impact with Maguire. Yeah,
it's an interesting one because I own Luke Shaw. And I could sell either him or Azpilicueta to get Dallas this week. Now, Azpilicueta's been trolling me for weeks, quite frankly. But Shaw, with the fact that I know he's got attacking option, the returns, the option of attacking returns. But I'm not quite looking at this. When I started looking at this, started to question the Luke Shaw issue as well. When I started to think about Maguire, so it's an interesting one. But yeah, Manchester United defence, I'm almost certain I wouldn't invest in them now, for sure. Pardon the pun. City defence, if you can get the right one, go for it. If you can't, I mean, look, City's defence is fine, right? They're at a 1.6. You know, they're still ripe for clean sheets. I mean, you know, Edison's a free hit special, I think. But I think he's probably the only person we can probably predict is going to start.
I think there's a good chance Stone starts.
Yeah, well, that's true because he didn't play this week. I want to come on to Leeds. I mean, the numbers don't look great, but Burnley, Southampton, West Brom. Is that a triple up, boys?
Could be. I think it's a reasonable triple up. There are so many options emerging, right? We see in the green there Liverpool, City, but I mean I think it's great for Dallas. I think Dallas is just a brilliant asset for the rest of the season.
Can you tell the trap I've just laid you there, Gabe? Which three?
Well, definitely Dallas, definitely Rafinha. And I mean, I would stop there. I would stop there. But if you really want a third one, I think Meslier is a good punch.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah, all right. No. So I can't sort of like, you know, the juices won't start flowing for Patrick Bamford there.
Well, when I get my team back after my free hit, Mr. Shitford will be on my squad on the side again. So I'll be keeping him for what it's worth. And it's certainly right.
I actually think he's not a bad option. The concern we've got.
He's a good option.
Shout out to Siva and Sam from FPL Banger, and they make a very good point. Rodrigo's fit, so our Bamford's minutes going to be managed. I think that's an interesting point.
And Bamford's form is also improving. He looks better. since he was taken off that one game before 60 minutes, he was taken off quite early. I think he's responded quite well to that.
Yeah.
So he's been a little less Shitford.
And Newcastle without Wilson is a shame, because do you know what? You were gonna have a hell of a laugh at me because I was going to bring him in 37. But these last 2 weeks would have been hilarious because me owning Callum Wilson, that would have been fun alive on this show because you know what he does to me. He trolls me all the time. But I was going to bring him in. What about Willock as an outside shout or St. Maximin?
I like them. I like both those shouts. Especially, after from 37 and 38. I mean, Sheffield United and Fulham and a beached Fulham. I think I would probably go for Saint Maximin. Just he excites me, more fun. We like to have fun on the beach, but Willock has been on fire. So either one of those picks, I think, are good.
I like St. Maximin because I spot him with the headbands. It's like a horse. If you're watching horse racing, you back a horse, you always back the grey one, so you can always see it.
It's not just a normal bag, it's a beauty bag.
But no, I quite like it. Look, St. Maximin got me 3 assists last season. I mean, I still say that was one of my best weeks. It was a lovely. It's that thing I heard this the other day. 15 points. It's that magical, mythical FPL number, right? Yeah. I don't know why. It's just that. It's just this wonderful number.
You don't see that often, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, just for the podcasters, if anyone's listening, if anybody's listening, then do come to this and check it out. But quite frankly, we're nearly getting to the point where you can throw the fixture difficulty in the bin, as we've already said earlier. So that's that bit. Let's move on, and we're going to move on to a new section, and that is the algorithm. And we're no longer doing Souček Watch because, quite frankly, we're bored of it. Nothing more, nothing less. We've tried to predict headers all season. We've done all right, but quite frankly, it doesn't make the blindest bit of fucking difference to anybody. So we've decided to do something that really matters.
We figured out nobody really cares.
Nobody gives a shit. So because nobody gives a shit, then neither can win. So what we're going to do is we'll look at the algorithm, and we've started out. I think just to let you know, this has been running for about 4 weeks. I've done it for 4 weeks behind the scenes. I think the first week it scored 110 or something stupid. The second week it scored 40. Then it scored 49, and this week it's scored so far 96. Without free hitting Surya, without bench boosting Surya. None of this bench boost bullshit. Yeah. So there we go. Mendy in goal. Well, that was lucky, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Castagna. I mean, they didn't do very well at the back. It doesn't seem to. I'll tell you, interestingly enough, and this is the first thing I've noticed with this algorithm. I'm not sure it's quite worked out what to do with defence. That's an interesting point, and that's something we're going to have to look at because Castagna, Zuma, and Dunk. Well, Dunk got sent off, of course. He'd probably been a clean sheet, but there we go. Castagna, what a terrible. Anyone who's got him, sell him quick. Zuma, why it picks him out, God only knows, but it did. And at the end of the day, look, this is what it is, right? It's a numbers game. But look at the midfield. Greenwood, Salah, Mane, Pogba, Jota. We've still got games with the and Cavani up front, all got games to play. And Iheanacho. So, yeah, it's on 96 points at this moment in time. Now, of course, you're not going to own from the way it is. It picks out players who it thinks. It looks at the fixture difficulty. It looks at the returns. It actually looks at the percentage of returns that they've had in the last 6 weeks, and it looks at the fixture difficulty. So that's the way that it calculates it. Just to let you know. But I'm quite excited about this game. What's your perspective?
I mean, I look at these players and. I wouldn't have Dunk, I wouldn't have Zuma, I wouldn't have Pogba, but I can't argue with the results, right? So that's why I'm super intrigued by the algorithm and intrigued how it's going to develop. over in the off season, how we're gonna tweak it for next season. But I wanted to get some action with it for this week. So yeah, I'm quite excited. It was fun playing with it for Game Week 36.
So if we look at this week then, so let's move on to this week. So I think what we're going to do here, just to let people know what's coming up next, is we're actually, me and you are going to do a bit of a flip-flop here between the algorithm and actually your matchups. Mm-hmm. So you have built your free hit team with the algorithm as the, shall we say, the starting point. Is that fair to say?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. So you sent me the algorithm, the 11, and I went through the players. I basically kind of mentally put them all in my team, and then went through the players one by one and doing like some matchups analysis on them. If the matchups analysis was positive, they would stay in my team. Yeah. If it wasn't,
then went like he's shit, right? Cross him off. He's shit. Yeah.
Exactly, just like that. He's Shitford. Cross him off.
Should we have a look what the algorithm's predicted for this week then? Let's quickly look at that. So, and there it is. So what it has Edison in goal, Trent, Coleman, and Mendy in defence, Salah, Mane, El Ghazi, and Traore from Villa in midfield, Wood, Ings, and DCL up front in a 3-4-3.
I think this is very tasty. I think all of these guys are ownable. I think it's not like someone like Pogba he might not consider. So it's already looking very very exciting to bring to us from this after looking at. I have El Ghazi, so it's a good validation.
And anyway, I'm now getting complaints. I mean, it's sad when all people do is barrack you from the sidelines like Sweng telling me the colours are wrong for the players. Yeah, Sweng, I was drunk when I did it. Sorry, buddy. I mean, look, let's start, Gabe. The numbers are all there at the bottom of the screen for you all to work out how it is. I say it works out, as I've explained, fixture difficulty and also returns. And then what it does, I've algoed it into sort of like top to bottom. And ultimately what we're doing here is we are slightly making selections. That's all. And it is only slightly. What we're doing is we are scrubbing out players who their expected points are 4 or less per week. We have to do that because otherwise it throws up every single Liverpool player would be in that list, which should look stupid. So we have to find a way to get that out of the way. So we're looking at the FPL assets in a sense, right? We also look at rotation. You'll see there's 2 players in there. There's Ings and there's Mendy, who are fairly rotated. Ings doesn't really count because he's been injured. Okay, so that's why we'll have to try and figure out a way around that. I'm not quite sure how we'll do it, because it's not clever enough, the numbers, but we'll have to try and figure it. So that's where it comes into the, shall we say, the personal look at it comes from. But Gabe, let's start at the back. Where are you coming from in your free hit team with respect to the back? So I'll just push your screen now.
Yep. So here's my free hit as it stands. Pardon me. So the Stones, I think Stones maybe wasn't in the algorithm, obviously, because he hasn't played. So that rotation bit hit. I did go with the Mendy pick in the algorithm because I like what you and Nima said on the Compass show, that Mendy would be less likely to come in. I think Mendy has. I think all season he may have only come in late in the game once, or at least since half the season or something like that. He's only came in once, and it was in a blowout. So it was just maybe to get him a couple minutes. Other than that, he seems to not come in. So I figured with a strong bench, he'd be a good selection there. And then I'll take a look. Ederson. So obviously the algorithm selected Ederson. I didn't go away from Martinez because of Crystal Palace. So I just, he's been so good to us all season. I figured I'd leave him in there. Also a price thing.
Yeah.
so I went with the algorithm with Coleman and Alexander-Arnold. And Mariner, you and I were talking last night about, I urgently sent you a message and interrupted your your timeout. Because everyone's talking about Dean, and I had Dean in my squad, and my bench wasn't as strong. And then going through the matchups, I just could not find a reason to go Dean over Coleman. You mentioned Siva and Sam on the Banger FPL Banger podcast. They mentioned that if James is back on free kicks, so Dean will lose some of those. Also, Dean, I think Big Man Bakar put some stats out a few weeks ago on how Dean's creativity numbers take a hit when James is playing. So, given that, and then also given the fact that the Sheffield United have only conceded in the last 6. They've only conceded 19 chances from the right side, which is where Dean is attacking, and that's 9th best, so right around mid-table. All of their other stats are basically worse than the lead. So I kind of like the other side a little bit more. So I went with the algorithm on that one against what my bias or what the collective kind of conversations were telling me. Stones, I think Stones is pretty nailed after his red card. I think it'll be Diaz and Stones. I think Pep will want to get that center back pairing kind of right and fit for the Champions League final. So Newcastle is a good introduction for them, and then Mendy. I have some slides on Mendy here. This is what I like about Mendy. I'll show you just where am I? There we go. So this is Mendy's 2 heat maps, his touch heat map and his passes received heat map. And they are identical. Like it's uncanny. You go to what other players, so most players' touch heat map is quite similar to their passes received. That's the time you mostly touch the ball, right? But not identical like Mendy. So what this tells me is Mendy basically doesn't defend. He's just up, and if you look his touch heat map, he's always in the attacking half, always receiving balls in that half. So kind of the similarity of the touch heat map and passes received heat map is really interesting to me. And then here's his touch heat map compared to his recoveries heat map. The black area shows a typical recovery area. When you look at other defenders, they recover kind of back towards their own box. Even Mendy's recoveries don't even come close to his own box. So he's so advanced, almost like irresponsibly so. When I think of Mendy, he's the perennial irresponsible player. He's a party guy. He's on the beach, but he like plays beach soccer basically. And this shows it. It's like he's the guy who's screaming, "No, come back, help defense." He's like, "No, I'm good in the attacking half." So I just like how irresponsible he is, and he.
I like that word, irresponsible. I said, he's like just this marauder. He just marauds forward, and I just have this vision of him just marauding all the way around, in the box.
Yeah.
I really do. Sorry, what do you think of the Mendy shout?
I think it's a very bold call. As he said, he's on the beach. I don't see him playing for City next season regularly. So I think they're in the market for left back. But then give it all yours when you got it. So it's that kind of a move. It should work in the short term. I don't see him being used in the Champions League. So Pep will look to protect their player, protect Zinchenko and the others. So I think FPL wise, it will definitely work. Or I think his ownership should be in like not even above 1%. So
no. It's a real and it's exactly what you want in a free hit, right? But the point I've made to a few people on various chat groups when people have been asking me questions about Manchester City is that if you are not free hitting, they are a no-go zone, in my opinion. If you are free hitting, then have a strong bench.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I think that's the principle which you're coming from, Gabe, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's been suggested, and actually, if you remember Mariner, I asked you about Zinchenko, and then you on the Compass show, you guys looked into Mendy and why Mendy could be a good pick because he doesn't have a tendency to come on late in games, whereas Zinchenko does. Now Zinchenko, I think he has a good chance of starting this game if Pep wants to get the whole back four kind of in line. It could be Cancelo on the right and Zinchenko on the left. But there's a huge risk with Zinchenko in that if I start Zinchenko and Mendy starts, Zinchenko could come in for a 1 pointer or something like that. So that's why kind of what tipped it for Mendy here, even though I think there's a good chance Zinchenko starts over.
I mean, the good thing is you've got a strong bench when you come back to your team. I think people will see that, so it's not the end of the world. But no, I think it's a bold shout, and you know, let's face it, you're on the beach, so get those tequilas out.
Exactly, because that's some margaritas out and get my hammock out. I'm good.
Yeah, there is a health warning on this on Gabe's free hit, right?
Well, there's a health warning if you care. If not, it's all if you're on the beach.
Actually, and I'll say the same. And look, you know me, I'm all about numbers. I love the numbers, and I love trying to work these algorithms out and try and get it to work. But for goodness sake, just take it with a pinch of salt. Don't come back and crucify me next week if it doesn't work. It's all about the starting point. These are players who you should have in your consideration, in my view. Nothing more.
And you should take a margarita with the salt around the.
And have a margarita while you're.
So
Definitely. Are we moving on to midfield now?
Midfield.
Okay. So the metric, the Algo has Salah, Mane, so it goes big Liverpool, just like me, because I'm going that way too, between me and you. El Ghazi and Bertrand Traore. And that, obviously, there's the Palace game coming out in the fixture difficulty for sure, right? And probably rightly so, quite frankly. You can see why they have popped up. Salah and Mane, that's not rocket science why they should be there. But you've gone with Mane, Son, Salah, and Foden.
With Rafinha on the bench, yes. So let's go to the Algo players that I didn't select, which are the Villa players, right? Palace, they've conceded the second most big chances, 16 over the past 6. So obviously not good. But as far as just chances conceded in general, they're not as bad as some of the other matchups. So they're slightly weaker on the right side. So I think El Ghazi could do something for you, Surya. I think he could get some nice action there. But they've conceded the 5th most chances from the right side. So they're not like, it's bad, but not the worst. They also have the 5th and 8th. They're 5th worst for expected goals conceded. So again, not the worst, but not good either. 8th worst, getting towards mid-table for chances conceded. So I mean, I think Palace are not good, but they're not the worst team out there. But they are on the beach, but Villa might be on the beach as well, and Villa with no Grealish and Villa, there are problems there. So that's why I faded the Villa players. I'll do Mane at the end here. Let me go with Foden. Let's see, Foden, Newcastle. So Newcastle also tied with Palace for the second most big chances conceded over the last 6. They've conceded 16. But Newcastle have conceded the most chances from the right side, which is 34. That is, hold on, let me get to my, from the right side, 34. The next most is Leeds with 31. But I loved attacking the right Newcastle's right side, and that's why you see Mendy and Foden there. Now I'm hoping for some team news. If Foden isn't going to start, if it's Sterling or someone like that, then my plan is to turn Foden into Gundogan, per your suggestion last night, Mariner. I think that without KDB, in previous matchups article, I explained that when KDB plays, Gundogan kind of plays in behind him. He kind of comes in behind him. KDB gets the ball, and then Gundogan makes a late run into the box. When KDB is not playing, Gundogan moves up into that KDB spot, and he's always in and around the box. So I and he was a triple captain hero for me. So to kind of bring him back on a free hit, there would be some kind of poetic, some nice poetry there. So
I remember that week well. I triple captain Sterling, didn't I?
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I remember that.
that was a heartbreaker for so many.
It was just the hope. It was just the hope that never.
That's interesting that you say about that left side. So it really does put Mendy and Foden clearly into that, into your thoughts. I mean, you've got Son in there, and no Kane. Is that purely money?
No, it's not money. It's matchup. It's actually more matchup than money. And I think that'll be one of the biggest surprise. That and the captaincy will be one of the biggest surprise for people. But looking at Wolves, so Wolves have not been good. Obviously, you and I both have Saiz, but Wolves' stats have been okay. They really have. They've conceded the sixth fewest big chances over the last six. They've 10 big chances over the last six, and they've conceded. So Wolves conceded 21 chances from the right side and over the last six, and only 11 chances from the center of the field. So 21 versus for chances on Son's side, 11 chances for where Kane kind of operates. And I know most people will be on Kane. So again, looking at a free hit and looking to differentiate a little bit with some thought behind it, I think having Son and spreading the Kane funds around is a nice differential for people on free hit.
I know it's something I suggested to you.
Yeah,
when we were talking about it.
For sure.
I'm playing devil's advocate because I know a lot of people will be looking at Kane even if they are free hitting. Quite frankly, I suppose doubling up on them is the differential. I think now.
Yeah, and I think, but we saw in the FDR, Spurs' attack is not good. They're lower, on the bottom end of the FDR. So a double up on an attack that isn't very good is risky. However, I say all of this with a caveat. Kane is. We're talking about motivation. Kane is, he's trying to get the golden boot. So he'll be very motivated. Kane also he takes advantage of his opportunities. Typically, he outperforms his XG. And then the last thing, so I think Kane is a good pick, but I would rather spread the funds around and kind of get better picks elsewhere. Then the last thing I'll mention is, so over the last six, Wolves have an expected goals conceded of 6.08, which is basically one goal per game as far as expected goals, which isn't bad. However, they have an expected an XG on target, so that post shot XG of 8.2. So it's a delta of minus 2.12, which means they are gifting goals. They are, whatever the XG of the shot is, they are adding to that XG. And I think that works in both Son and Kane's favor.
I do hate understanding numbers when I own size. Fucking hell. Oh, God. I've also got Post in my team for crying out loud this week. God help me. Anyway, Surya, very quickly, your view on that midfield.
Yeah, but for some reason, I would prefer Kane or Son. For one reason that keeps reminding me is that Kane flourishes during the end of the season. He basically ends the season in a flurry, and he's still chasing the golden boot. I would say Kane over Son, but then I understand what Gabe is trying to do, because you have a lot of good striker options, like 4 good strikers, like consider Bamford, Wood, Calvert-Lewin, Antonio. So you could literally spread that funds out, and players like Mane and Foden make sense because you're on a free hit, and then you would expect players that will help you gain more points, or at least have a bit more of fun when you're on the beach already. No offense. Yeah. So
I mean, my perspective here is Mane and Salah is just potentially a complete weapon for the next 3 weeks, in my perspective. Never mind the free hit. I think they are lethal weapons for FPL. I'm going on both. I'm right to the end of the season now. That's it. I'm bringing him in. I'm taking Bruno out. Mane in. Off we go. Bruno, so Mane and Salah, Gabe, do you want to cover it now or do you want to cover it in the captaincy?
I'll go over it now really quickly, just since we're on the midfield here. I have it in front of me. So the thinking here is obviously Salah has the better stats, but Mane, I think Mane is on the rise. I think the club we talked about the hug and the encouragement Mane is getting. I think he's going to get more of that. But to add to that, West Brom have conceded 29 chances from the right side in the past 6, compared to 21 from the left. So it's about an extra chance and a half per match. And if we're thinking about like each chance is worth approximately 0.1 xg, something like that. So that's kind of like a 0.15 or 0.2 xg extra for Mane. And Salah has, if we're honest, Salah has been wasteful this season. So I think the slightly tighter defense from West Brom on that left side could affect him. The other thing I think could affect Salah, impact him negatively, and this is somewhat speculative, right? They're both great options. It's a great matchup for both. But if so West Brom's attack down that left, we talked about it. Mateus Pereira, they've created 23 chances from the left side versus 10 from the right, and I think Mateus Pereira could keep Alexander-Arnold a little bit kind of far away from Salah, which would limit their opportunities to combine. And I think Salah is best when Alexander-Arnold is right off of his right shoulder and they're combining to get in that box. So, as I'm looking for a differential, because I'm on the beach, and if it doesn't pan out, I'm still swinging in my hammock. It's no big deal. And if it does pan out, then I'm just having another margarita. So it all works out. It's a fun.
I really like it. I really like it. I mean, I'm probably, just a spoiler alert, I'm probably going to captain Salah, but I think the differential is actually owning them both. So, and possibly the possibility of a combination there. So no, I really like that. So moving forwards then, up front, I went with the Algo went with Woods, Ings, and DCL. Now you've gone with Wood, Calvert-Lewin, and can't see who was your other choice.
Actually, if I could just backtrack it a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
No, I forgot about it. My bad. I'm on the beach, I forget things. So there's a lot of conversation about Mahrez this game week, and I do, and I get it. Mahrez has been maybe one of the most important players for City this season. But if we compare the heat maps, Mahrez drops more to link the play than Foden does. And then the vulnerability on that right side that we talked about for Newcastle, I think this lines up for Mahrez, in my opinion, just based on this heat map and Newcastle's vulnerability on the right side. I think Mahrez will be linking play more, and he could be assisting the assister. I just see more of the action and more of the box penetration coming from City's left side.
Yeah, I mean, my gut feeling on City, as I've already said about what I'm thinking about. Have a strong bench. I'm not quite sure, but if I was going to go with City players, I'd go with the cheaper ones, and that's why I think, particularly now, we know KDB is out, and that was confirmed this evening. I think Gundogan now is, if you're free hitting, I would go there. That would be me. I just think I would probably go Gundogan over Foden if it was me now. That's my perspective.
If I don't get any news, if we don't get any news on City, now that we know that KDB is out, if there's no news, then I probably will switch Foden out for Gundogan, because Gundogan will sit on that left side of central midfield, so he could still take advantage of the Newcastle's right side. However, if we do get some news and Foden is starting, I just like how hungry he is, how eager he is, and the way he penetrates into the box. I think could wreak some havoc.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair point. So let's move to forwards then. So as I say, I've gone for Woods, Ings, and DCL. Where have you gone, Gabe? You went for, I think you've got Wood and DCL, but your third striker is Antonio.
Well, that's a stretched image. So I went for, you went for Ings, and I mentioned why I didn't like Ings, and because the beach is unpredictable, and just because if Ings could be motivated, but if the team isn't motivated, they may not create much. I'm just thinking if I'm on the beach and I want to have a good time, and I go with a player like Ings on a team that I don't see much coming from that team, and then he doesn't do anything, I'm gonna kick myself thinking, yeah, that's kind of what I thought about of Southampton versus having Antonio there first sub. Also, I would be kind of compelled to play Ings, but I don't like Ings over any of my other starters, so that would give me a headache. But having Antonio first bench, no dunk. I think I just feel more comfortable with that because West Ham do still have something to play for.
I mean, you've got a strong bench, right? And I think what you're doing there is you're hedging your bets there. That if you do guess the wrong way with the old roulette wheel, then you've got players to come in who can clearly do jobs. So I like it. I like your team. Surya, what's your view on the bench order here? Antonio, Rafinha, Dallas, with those three City players sat there staring at me that might not start, or there's a possibility they might not start. Playing a 4-4-2, so Antonio's coming in first, come what may, right?
I think I would stick with this, and the FTR2 said this. The Leeds Burnley game would have a lot of goals, so maybe that's potential that Dallas misses out on attacking return, and I would still stick Dallas to the third, and Antonio and Rafinha stays there too. I like the idea of what Gabe has done, but one thing I might want to pull out is that Ings is not completely on the beach. He's still trying to negotiate for a new contract, or he might potentially seek a new club. So he would be motivated to score a goal or two to prove he's well enough. And in fact, he was linked with City as a backup striker. Of course, Agbero is now leaving, so you never know. But then collectively, it's a different story. You'll have to Southampton have to create for him to score. But then, I would still stick with Antonio, Rafinha, and Dallas. Fairly speaks for itself.
So I threw up and I'll have to. I guess I'm tired this morning. I forgot another heat map that I'll go back to, and it's about Son. But before I go backwards, I want to just talk about Rafinha a little bit. Burnley have conceded the most chances from the left and the third most chances from the right over the last 6. So they concede in wide areas. And what I love about Rafinha in this matchup is if you look at his average position, it's central. But we know he's not a central player. The reason Rafinha's average position is central here is because he moves from flank to flank. And we see it in the touch heat map there. He plays on the right and he plays on the left. So his average position ends up being in the middle. Yeah. And so him playing on both flanks and Burnley conceding on both flanks for me is just a sweet matchup for Rafinha. And the reason he's second bench and not first bench is because of the uncertainty. And I don't know if Bielsa wants him to rest a little bit more. I don't know if he'll start. I expect him to, but there's a chance that he doesn't. So that's I love Rafinha's matchup this week. And then just something on Son really quickly. Son against Semedo. Semedo is not a good defender. And he's not.
We've had these conversations before.
We have. So on the right we have Semedo's challenges lost heat map, and then on the right we have Son's dribbles, and they match up. So it's the kind of like a same curve from the same side going from the flank all the way kind of into the box. And I think that's going to be like highway 1 for Heung-min Son. So I think that matchup really lines up well. I think Son is a good captaincy shout this week.
Fair play. Any more heat maps, or is that it?
Well, let me see if I forgot any more. That's it. That's it.
Right.
That's the free hit.
So let's go back to the Algo. So there we go. Just to confirm the Algo: Edison, Trent, Coleman, Mendy, Salah, Mane, El Ghazi, Traore, Bernard, Wood, Ings, DCL, and on the bench, Sanchez, Siggy, Konsa, not quite sure how, but Kufal. So let's see how it does. Salah will be captain, Mane will be vice captain. So that's where the algorithm is.
The one thing I will say for those that do own both Salah and Mane, there are some rumblings about another disruption from United fans.
That's this week.
Oh, that's today. That's today.
Yeah, that's this week. Yeah, I think I
don't know. It could be
the United players are already at the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. But I think it could. I think it could be this week. I think it could also be next week. It's just something to consider. To be safe. I would put the vice on a player in a different match.
Do you know what? I'm actually contemplating doing absolutely opposite and just going on for the first time. Actually going on both. I'm that bloody convinced. What I would say is, Surya and I spoke just off air before you joined, Gabe. We actually said, he says, "Oh, there might be another protest." I went, "Oh well, I'll have a double game week next week or the week after then."
Fair enough. True.
I didn't even bat an eyelid. Yeah, I didn't even bat an eyelid on it. I really didn't. Now I was at a request. I think it was from Harry Duke. I think who asked me, "Can I have a quick look at an algorithm for the following week?" But I'm not going to go through it in any great length. But I am going to put it on the screen. And that's where we would be next week, looking at the fixture difficulty. Salah, Mane, Greenwood, Wood, Ings, Mount, Iniacho, Harrison.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Alexander-Arnold, Dallas, Loughton, Edison, and Meslier. So I think that's just targets. And I've highlighted 3 players there, Mane, Ings, and Harrison, who might be quite nice differentials for next week as it stands, according to the algo. Nothing more.
And also,
who do Leeds play next week?
Sorry?
The United boys were right back, though. They missed out on a game, but then Greenwood, Wan-Bissaka, everyone are quite sure is quite back in the algo as well. So it's interesting to see what people will do, because I'm on a triple up.
Yeah, I mean, look, Greenwood clearly. I think I'm looking at selling Bruno, and that's just trump that decision for sure, because Bruno's not there. Yeah, Greenwood is. So for me, I'm quite happy to sell Bruno now, because I think Greenwood, possibly is even a possible captain shout next week potentially, and quite frankly, I don't think Bruno will play in 38 anyway, because it's so close to the Europa final. So I don't think I'd just bring Bruno. If I'm taking him out, I don't think I'd bring him back in. That's my perspective anyway. But no, that's where we are.
Who do Leeds play in 37?
Who do?
Leeds.
Good question. Hang on, let me check. It was fixtures 37. Nice fix. Southampton away.
Southampton away.
That's tasty.
It is. Yeah. It's interesting that he went Harrison.
Yeah. Well, Rafinha won't be there, will he? Because he's been out. Bear in mind, after this week, we'll see what happens. This is as it is now.
Right.
So but it's got Dallas as defender 4, I think. So he'll be benched at the moment. So we'll have to see how it goes. But anyway, that's where we are. So I just thought it'd be always worthwhile just to throw that up. It was a question which was asked. So I thought, look, I'll just do one and put it on the screen. So, okay, let's move on. So that's that section. So now we're going to the captaincy. And how did we do in game week 35? Well, it's still ongoing, right? But pretty well. It's the second week on the trot. We've nailed it. All 4. Bruno, Community, Metric, Greenwood, Catpick, Greenwood, Differential, Cavani. The Metric, again, looks like it's really done. It looks like it's picked the right one. It's early. There's still another game to go, I'm afraid. So it could change, and that's why we won't spend a lot of time on the numbers here, but what we will do is we'll say this is as it stands as of now when it comes to the Metric. The Metric is now projected to score 651 points. Not bad. And it's back at 80%. And it's only blanked twice since game week 18.
That's
it's doing
200.
all right. And one of the times is when it was pissed out of its face and went for Jesus.
It's 200 more captain points than I have. It's 100 more than your projected points.
Yeah, it is. Well, I've been ignoring it for ages. I don't think I can ignore it anymore. I think that's the other rule for the rest of the season. I'm just going to go with the captain metric and just not even worry it. Just takes that question out. If it gets it wrong, it gets it wrong. But you know, that's the way it is. So yeah, I mean, I went with Bruno. This things could change. I mean, Bruno's still got 20 points for me, so I'm not going to fall over. I'm not falling over myself with woe. But you know, Greenwood, you know, clearly is what a great pick. What a great pick. So yeah, so that's that. So quickly moving through again, Catpick and the captaincy poll for this week. Salah standout, 64%. I was a bit shocked, but pleasantly surprised at the Mane 4.9%. Because there is the devil in me does want to captain him. There's this little devil sat on my shoulder going, "Go on, Chris, go on. Come
you know
on."
What that is? That's the beach devil.
Yeah, the beach devil.
I'm happy to see this. To see Mane kind of last in this poll. You know, for free hit, people on free hit, people looking to chase. It's a nice little opportunity. And as you say, Mariner, I'm sure it'll all end in tears.
As usual.
As usual. Marinerism right there. It'll end in tears as usual.
Yeah, as usual. Nothing changes, mate. Always ends in tears. So anyway, so the cat was given 3 choices: Salah, Kane. I need a bloody another beer. Salah, Kane, DCL. So let's see where this fool went this week.
Wait till he's finished, Mariner.
Yeah.
DCL.
Oh,
so the cat has gone for DCL. But yeah, I just throw. I don't know if you noticed, but I've just come in from an afternoon at the wine bar, and the cat with us. So she started recording. I just threw him straight out of the bedroom. Just threw him out of the bedroom. This flying cat. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. So anyway, DCL. I don't think he's on a 5-week run now. So he's on a 5-week run.
He's the one return guy, right?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? And I think, you know, is that the reason why, when we look at the captain metric next, why he is not further up? And I think that might explain it, because there's the metric, and at the moment it is Salah who is top. As much as, you know, I've seen a few people saying, "Oh, I hope the metric comes with a differential." I really hope the metric comes with a differential this week. Well, it nearly does, because I'll tell you now, if Mane gets more than 1 return tonight and Salah doesn't, Mane's top. I've already predicted what will happen. So if you see Mane get 2 returns tonight, Salah does. No, the bloody cat's just knocked the light off. Yeah, if you see that, then that will tell you probably that's the way the metric's going to finally land. I'll only reissue it if it changes. I think that's like I did last week. I never changed it last week. But yeah, Salah. So top fixture difficult. Look at the fixture difficulty: 125 really favour very, very good matchup as well, and that's as high as we've seen recently. Putting it in context, boys, Salah 87, Mane 86, Jota 86, 1, 2, 3, Liverpool clean sheet. Put it in context, last week, Greenwood 91 with 2 games, Salah 91 with 2 games, Bruno 90. This is 1 game. This is a good matchup. This is why I think there could be serious points going on, looking out for this. If we look at if we look at them particularly, and I just want to home in on one particular point, is the rotation. You can see the returns on the screen. Salah, he hasn't had a double return, which is a worry. Neither's Mane in the last 12. Neither of them are tearing trees up, but the fixture's so good. And Jota's only had 1. Rotation-wise, Salah 16%, Mane 21%, Jota 25%. This tells me that I wouldn't normally captain or vice captain from the same team, but I'm going to do this week because I can't miss it. In my perspective, look, I'll just touch on the others, then I'll open it up to you guys. 4th is Jesus. Really, I should delete him, shouldn't I? But a general point: if you get the right Manchester City asset, could be goal, right?
Yeah.
And the thing with Calvert-Lewin, he's had 1 double and 6 single returns. That double return was a long time ago, I think. But it's his fixture. Everton are not that great with respect to attack. So that's maybe where you get that principle of that single return, Gabe,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then Kane slightly further down, 3 double returns, 5 single returns, toenails away from another return last week. But the fixture difficulty is virtually neutral. And that again tells you that Spurs are no great shakes. So that's why the metric's moving away from Spurs. What's your view, mate?
So I see, to that Kane point, and people are looking to captain him. Some people think he's essential against Wolves, but he's not in the top 5 here in the metric, and he's at a 73. Son is at a 72. I think the matchup itself favors Son, and if this, I think, so combining those things, I put Son over Kane. So this is kind of validating from that perspective.
Yeah. I think I would also add that what's very noticeable, expected points, Salah, Mane and Jota, 8.69, 8.17, 7.87. That's the average expected points over the last 6 games. Look how that's another reason why those guys are sat at the top.
Yeah. Way beyond the other ones, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So that's the metric. Obviously, if it changes, guys, I will reissue it. I'm sorry it's not been a bit more left field this week. I know it has been a little bit just recently, but it's not this week. And let's look now at the captain differential. You're going to love this, Gabe.
I love that GIF, by the way.
Yeah.
Ings has some great GIFs. I love it.
Every time it asks me talk about Danny Ings, it has to be that GIF. But look, this is last 4 appearances. This is 90-minute stats. 0.64 XG, 1.57 goals a game. XA 0.22. Sorry, 1.57 goals a game. XA 0.22. 12.5 points. He's doing all right, right? I don't see I personally think that Ings and the dustbin Adams. I don't. I think he's a wheelie bin on legs.
We know you think he's talentless.
Yeah, no, and I didn't say that. I said he was a wheelie bin.
A talented wheelie bin.
No, mate, only because he's trolled me he trolled me, didn't he, for the first 6 game weeks? So I'm bitter, right? But no, I mean, honestly, if those two get firing, they're a decent partnership, actually.
Yeah.
And it looked like there's something going. It looks like we might see something. So we're going to go. I'm going with Danny Ings. I don't care what you say. Have you got any differential captains, Surya? Who's your perspective?
Yeah, my heart was stuck on Maris for a very strong reason. I feel he hauls big this week. So, but then my gut might be wrong. But then it's just one of those fixtures where he comes up and blows up without a sign. That's how Maris as an FPL asset has always been over the last couple of weeks. But then if you are gambling and if you're looking to make places, I think of course the matchup says Foden has a better chance than Maris, but then it's just a gut feel that Maris can be a good option.
I mean, the only reason I've not put Mane in there is he might well be the actual captain yet of the metric.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why I didn't put Mane up there.
That sounds fair enough too.
Because Mane would be, quite frankly, a fabulous differential this week, in my view. Okay, right. Let's quickly look at the summary, and then we'll get to the questions. So, community poll Salah, metric Salah, Catpick DCL, and differential is Ings. So, questions of what we've got. Have anyone been seeing any stuff? Hopefully this thing's going to work for me tonight. Let's have a look, see what we've got in there. So, first of all, we'll just say hello to a few people who's in there. So we've got Shubro, we've got Nehal, hi mate. Rakesh is in as usual. Aman. Raj is in, hi mate. Edwin, hi. Rajat in as well. Nima, happy birthday, my friend. I'm looking for questions. Oh, Aidan Blockley, fellow Grimsby Town fan. Oh, well done. Up the Mariners. Shame we're in the non-league next season.
We got FF Ninjas in there as well.
Yeah, Swang. Yeah, I'm just looking for the questions. Jared's in. Right. Well, we've got any questions? Where are these questions coming from?
From Dean M. Godfrey or Coleman?
Godfrey or Coleman? Well, is Godfrey an FPL asset?
No, you just play for this, the clean sheet points, which Everton tend to lose that pretty often. So it could be Coleman. I think with a far enough attacking return as well.
I agree with you there. From Joseph MK, do we think Bale starts all 3 games? I'm hoping to get him in, since if I get Son, I can't fund Nacho to Bamford. That's an interesting question. First of all, would you want Bale for all 3 games? That's another question, because Bale seems to be a home merchant at the moment, doesn't he?
I'm going to let Surya answer this one, because I think my answer is a little bit predictable here.
Yeah, can you just repeat? Sorry,
they're wondering if should they get Bale so they can also get Bamford, the 2 players that I don't.
Bale and Bamford.
Or Son. Otherwise, if they get Son, they can't afford Bamford.
I mean, look, they're playing. Obviously, this week they've got Wolves at home. That's I think, a decent game for Bale, a good fixture for Bale. Then they've got Villa at home, and then they finish away at Leicester. I'm not sure that's a great game for Bale.
Yeah, I don't, and it's close to Euros. I might think Bale might preserve himself to be fit enough for Wales as well. If I think Wales are playing, right? So I'm not sure about that. But then I'm not too convinced by Bale. Of course, he got a hat-trick just the game week before. I would say Son is a better option, but then of course it leaves missing out on Bamford. But if you miss out on Bamford, I think one must be able to afford Antonio, so it shouldn't be a big of an issue. So I would say Son. I would still prefer Son. Let Gabe answer. Okay, I'm leaving it.
Gabe, come on. You know you absolutely destroyed me last week by putting me off. Why on earth are you thinking about bringing Bale in, Chris? For God's sake, what are you doing? And then what?
And then what? He was shit.
Not last week, week before.
Week before, yeah. and then everybody got all excited, and then they brought him in, and what did he do? He was awful.
I mean, that's the point I was making. He seems to be a bit of a home merchant, doesn't he? That's my perspective. Maybe it's like playing golf. You know, if you know your golf course, then you know you're a bit better on the golf courses that you know than the golf courses that you don't. That's maybe the Gareth Bale analogy we should use.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I'd rather. I mean, I have enough experience with Bale. He will do that, and he'll have some masterclass moments. He won't have a masterclass match per se, although he did in that one. But he'll have some moments, and then he'll disappear. And then you're wondering, like, why the hell do I have Bale in my team? And then you're gonna get Bale so you can afford Shitbird. I mean, come on, I cannot.
At least you can spot the top knot, though. At least like my grey horses on the horse racing. At least you can spot him.
I think that's there permanently. I don't think his hair grows or anything like that. I think it's a helmet he puts on in the morning because that thing he's had that top knot for like a decade. That thing will not go.
I hope he washes his hair. Right, anyway. Next question. Here's one. Edwin Thorman, chasing the mini league. Me too now. I was in front for ages till I went off a cliff chasing mini leagues, thinking of Bruno to Mahrez or Bale and Aspi to Dean.
I think Mahrez and Dean. Oh, yeah. I think we just answered the Bale part.
Yeah.
Dean sounds a better option.
I'm certainly selling Aspi. Would I go for Dean? I'm not sure. I think, I mean, look, for me, I would put Dallas certainly in front of him. But he maybe owns Dallas. But he maybe owns Dallas. But yeah, I would say, I think.
But after Dallas, there is no other good option to consider.
I mean, Dallas, Dean, Kufal, probably in that order.
One thing that I will say to this dilemma is if he goes Coleman rather than Dean, he may be able to afford Mane instead of Mahrez.
I think that's still 2 million more.
A bit too far.
Bit too far.
Maybe. Dean is what 1.5 million or a little more than 1 million more than Coleman, right? It's like 1.2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's 1 million there, and so there's an extra million. Yes, I don't know how much he has in the bank or anything like that. Yeah. But if you can get Mane and Coleman, I would prefer that combination.
Fair enough. Next question from Virgil van Dijk, who's decided not to play in the European Championships this year. It's nice to have him on net that haul as usual. With Kane not being captaincy options for the next 3 weeks, should we consider taking him out for the likes of DCL or even Aguero?
I think DCL is a fair enough good option, but Aguero, I'm not sure. I think my gut says Pep might want to test out how he wants to play in the Champions League final rather than give him minutes, give him a lot of minutes, and that.
I know this is a really interesting one because I'll tell you what, this is like it's like Groundhog Day from last year with David Silva.
Yeah, exactly. That's
like bloody Groundhog Day. We did it last year. Everyone was like, sees this romantic move for Aguero. Look, I'm looking at it. I don't mind admitting it. I've got money in the bank. I could do it next week. If I think Aguero is just going to get the run in the league, I probably will do it. Yeah, I probably will because I think it's just a nice fun move, and one which if it comes off, then it'd be quite a lovely differential, right? But I think DCL is the DCL is the obvious move there, right?
Yeah,
I think
maybe
DCL is
is
a very
obvious.
strong move.
So here's what I'll say about Agüero is I don't think Pep will let Agüero, the memory of Agüero be a failed Panenka. Agüero will get more opportunities, and Pep may even stick him back on pens if there's not too much to risk. You know, they've already won the league, so might as well like kind of send him off on a high. Again, that's all narrative. That's all kind of like that wishful thinking, like you were talking about. Like
that's a fair point, yeah.
But I think he's going to want to change the memory of the final memory of Agüero.
No, I think that's a great point. I think there's something there which says to me that Agüero could be a good shout for the last 2 game weeks. I've just got that, you know, when you just get that little bit of a gut feel that something might. I've got a similar gut feel about Mane for this week, actually, similar sort of thing. But we'll see. But I certainly think that if we're looking at it realistically, you know, the Calvert-Lewin to Agüero, that is a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. And even, interesting enough, Calvert-Lewin plays Manchester City in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
I own him. I don't think I'm going to transfer him out. I think I'm going to play him against them.
It's going to be a makeshift Manchester City B team, which would still finish probably 3rd in the league, but
there is that. There is that. Let me see. Here's the next one from Raj. Regardless if Jota starts versus Man U, do we think doing Jota to Mane will be good for a hit? Already looking to bring in Foden, Son, and Coleman, so -8 if I do Jota to Mane. I don't know. I'd go sideways. Surya?
Yeah, so I never tend to do sideways as well. You got Jota, stick with him, and I think the other 3 are far enough good differential options as well. Okay, Rival and Son, Foden and Coleman could be good rank boosters. So I don't see that sideways move working out, because Jota, it's not like Jota is not getting chances. He's been getting a lot of chances. It's just that he's not converting them. Maybe he's a clutch player. He could come good. So sideways is not something that interests, and that too for a hit. Definitely not. Foden, Son, and game.
I know you brought Coleman into your free hit team, Gabe, but would you transfer him into your proper team?
Yes. Given the remaining fixtures, yes, I would.
Okay.
I think he's a good transfer for the rest of the season. But I agree with Surya that -8, like once you're digging yourself a kind of a big hole for a seemingly sideways move. It may not be sideways. It may not turn out to be sideways, but you know, one Liverpool midfielder for another. I think just stick with what you've got. I think Jota has great potential.
I think so. I think if I'm in a fortunate position in that I only own 2, and that was actually a strategic decision, actually, because I deliberately went Greenwood last week for that reason, because I wanted to think about, if I want the option of bringing Mane in, can I do it without going sideways? Because I would have probably talked myself out of it. So for the first time in about 6 weeks, I actually made the right call.
The one thing I will say for Tavindra here is, as far as West Brom go, they had, so if Liverpool play with their front 4 and Firmino's dropping in to link play and spread the ball around, and Jota's kind of filling the space that Firmino's leaving, West Brom have conceded 31 chances down the center and 29 down the right. So that center of the field, whoever is going to be there, it could be Firmino, it could be Jota, it could be both. We just don't know right now. I think Jota still has great potential, so I would leave him in.
Right, there's one more question for you as well from Aaron. It looks like Aaron Metcalf, Gabe. This is especially for you. Gareth Bale or Gareth Bale or Antonio for the next 2 games. Care to answer that?
Well, Edwin mentioned that in the chat. It's like we need to, that he's asking people to stop asking Bale questions because I'm getting worked up here.
Yeah, but look, I don't care what Edwin says. I'm the host, and I wanted to ask you.
Yeah. What was the question? Not Bale. Whatever the question was.
Not Bale. Gareth Bale or Antonio.
Antonio.
It's an interesting
Antonio.
one. I mean, they're in different positions, of course, which is
different positions, different price points. So it's hard to answer because it's going to.
One of those questions which it's almost like that's one of the questions where you're actually looking at it's A plus B versus C plus D, right? It's more of a question there really than an individual look at just two players.
Yeah, it's like asking somebody what do you like better, ice cream or pizza? They're different things. One is a dessert and it's cold, and the other one's hot and cheesy and warm. They're just two different things.
So who's the pizza and who's the ice cream game?
What's that?
There was also a question. There was also a question from Aaron about our Foden and Mahrez options. Now there are a few weeks to the Champions League. We've already touched on that one. We've got the next one is from Sankar. Bruno to Mahrez or Greenwood to Rafinha or Foden. That's an interesting one. Bruno,
I would move Bruno probably. Numbers 2. The Algo 2 picked Greenwood, and I feel Bruno might be rested in the last game, so you miss one and you have just 2 more, and then it makes sense to prioritize on Greenwood, and of course it will give you a lot more budget to maybe even spread it across the next transfer that you make as well. That's my thing.
Yeah, and I would take the same view, but the other side of it is I would keep Greenwood. I would not sell Greenwood. The value is too good at its price point.
And I would not do Bruno to Mahrez. I'd do Bruno to Mane.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's just who to sell.
Yeah.
Right. Devindra, is Kane essential? No. Next. Right. You know me, I don't think anybody is. I don't know about Kane. Let's just quickly touch on him. Is he? There's a few trains of thought here, isn't he? He could be. He might be leaving. He might want to go out on a high. He might be that pissed off that he's actually putting himself, wrapping himself up in a bit of a cocoon to make sure he's okay for the Euros as well. I don't quite work out. I'm not quite sure. He looked fairly sharp the other day, didn't he? He's not a bad pick.
No.
You can never write off Kane. That's one thing.
Yeah. And like Surya mentioned earlier in the show, an end of the season Kane, or maybe it was you who mentioned Mariner, like the flurry of the Kane flurry at the end of the season when he's chasing the Golden Boot. Kane's a great pick for rest of the season. That said, I do think he's protecting his ankle. He's had ankle issues in the past and I don't think, and he's gonna want to be at that Euro. It would be tragic for him to suffer an injury and miss out on the Euros.
No, that's my funny feeling about it. I've just got that. I don't know. I transferred him out a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not really that worried about. Well, I am worried about him because he's still quite highly owned, but I'm not falling over myself to bring him back in. I think there's probably 3. I think the way to do is to attack those Liverpool fixtures, and that means no Kane anyway. So I think that's the way I'm going anyway. Unless there's any more questions, I think we can get out of here.
Nice one.
I think we're about done. There's various bits and that, but we've got people are now in the chat now just talking about ice cream pizzas. So I think it says it all really.
I've derailed the conversation.
Yeah.
Bale Tonio says that.
The only thing I'm surprised we haven't been at the baker's not on asking us which ice cream describe which ice cream sums up your season. We normally get something like that, don't we?
Yeah. Which pizza topping sums up your free hit or something like that?
I ain't even got the answer to that one. I can't even think. It's too late at night here. I have no idea. Virgil van Dijk, triple Norwich next year, Mariner. No. I mean, look, just one very general question, just to let people know what we're doing. I think we're getting to the business end of the season now, and I think, to be quite honest, I think we have 1 day between deadlines next week. So
yeah, correct.
If we do a matchup, we will just combine matchup and compass next week for 37, and we'll combine matchup and compass for 38 as well.
Yeah,
I can't see the point in doing anything else. It's just there's just not enough time. And
if we can get together, maybe even a Q&A in there.
Well, that's another point. It's just the problem is it's just trying to get everybody at the right time. As I say, we pride ourselves on being global, but the trouble is some people are asleep when other people are awake. That's the problem.
Well, and that's that the difficulty is where the pride comes from as well. We wake up. Mariner, you're waking up at 5 in the morning to prepare the Compass show. I'm up early here and you're up late. It's part of it's the source of our pride as well. So that will continue, but it is difficult.
Yeah, and just to give you a shout out, Gabe, you're going to do Twitter Spaces tomorrow.
Yes, tonight in my time.
Tonight your time.
Tomorrow in your time now.
So that's like 12. Is it between 12 and 2 roughly? It'll be approximately between 12 noon and 2 o'clock in Asia tomorrow.
Right. And that is between 9 p.m., 11 p.m. Pacific time. Which is where I am.
And in the middle of the night in Europe, so you guys can all go to sleep. If anyone's watching from Europe, go to sleep, stay asleep.
Right.
But we have to try and do everything for. But that was actually, and I'm not sure if people have the opportunity to join us. But that was the first time I've used Twitter Spaces. I thoroughly enjoyed it last week.
It was amazing last week, and we had over 50 people in that Twitter Spaces for our first one.
Late Riser was in. Zoff was in, among others. That was always nice to have a chat with them. And there was also Das, wasn't there, who was in the last 16 in the Cup. So shout out to Das.
Aria Das, yeah.
I did message him today.
It
looks like he's in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it looks like he might go out, but he's hoping for everything I'm not tonight. So, with the greatest respect, I think he wants Man United to play a second team tonight. I think he really does. And of course, I don't. So we'll have to see. But no, I mean, as I would say, shout out to him. Anyone who gets to the last 16 of the Cup, that is absolutely FPL career defining, in my opinion. So
it was a great conversation with him.
Whatever happens tonight, well done. I think that's the way to. I think that's the way to.
I think with Maguire out, he could have a shot. He could have a shot at some Liverpool goodness there. So.
Yeah, I think he said he was about 15 points behind, but he listed me this great big long list of things which had gone wrong, and I was like, that just sounds like my season. This sounds like my last 6 game weeks. I was thinking, oh, that's terrible. That's so bad. That's so bad. That's so bad. And I thought, yeah, I've got 90 points. Everything which he did, obviously, everything which went wrong for him worked for me. It's life, right?
That's right.
All right, guys. Right. Let's get out of here. We'll move to the screen and yes, Surya, thank you very much, my friend. It's always a pleasure to see you on. I hope you're doing okay in India. I know it's very tough out there at the moment. So our thoughts are with you all across there. Rest assured of that. Articles wise, all about FPL.com's going really nicely, I see.
Yeah, I think we're getting a lot of new guys writing and it's thriving. So we keep going. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Appreciate your support.
So you'll find
matchups will be posted there at allaboutfpl.com. The matchups article will be posted there later today. I'll finish it probably this afternoon.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, so sorry, your article will be there, Gabe, but I know Nima's is it team reveal he puts on there or is it trends?
Yeah,
I think it's trends.
Team and tips, strategies, what he puts on.
Yeah, so Nima's on there as well. So yeah, so do check out allaboutfpl.com. It's a really, really good source of information, guys. Gabe, as always, thank you very much, my friend. LA for now, Phoenix next week, is it?
That's right, and then it's for good. Phoenix for good. So yeah, this is our last broadcast from me being in LA. Same time zone though. So
yeah, well, that's one thing. Is it? That was an hour the other way, actually.
It's until the clocks moved. Right now it's the same, but I don't think the clocks are moving again here in the States. I think we're stuck with this time, so I think it's going to be the same. But anyway, yeah, last show from LA, everyone.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. As always, mate. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Okay. So yeah, guys, that's it. Let's. I think there's not a lot else to say apart from you can find me on Twitter at FPLmariner and also on Instagram. Gabe at FPLLens on Twitter. Surya at All About FPL on Twitter. And yeah, you can find us. You can put us in your ears on a podcast if you go and find us there. It'll be up there. It'll be probably up later. Obviously, catch us on YouTube. If you do like what you see, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Hit the bell for more notifications. And apart from that, I just want to wish you green arrows and all the very best. Good night. Bye-bye.